everyone. Welcome to Wellness Wednesdays with Stephanie. I'm Stephanie Bucklin, your host, and I am delighted to be interviewing today Demetria Annenayah. And I'm super, super excited. Thank you so much for being here, Demetria. She's a soul journey transformational coach. We are going to have such a yummy conversation. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate being here and definitely grateful to share and connect with you. We have many mutual soul tribe connections, so it just seemed like a truly good fit.
Oh, yeah. And honestly, I've never talked about the things that we're going to talk about today, so this is
Oh,
going to be
wow.
very exciting. Yeah.
Hey.
So I'd love for you to give our audience an introduction of who you are, what you're up to, what kind of magic you're making in the world today.
Um, well, I'm currently shifting from a brick and mortar uh business practice. I've been coaching healing uh, for almost 40 years, professionally for 35. Um, and so now I'm taking an approach for streaming um, digitally online, offering exclusive content to my teachings. I used to do all of them in person via a workshop or, an actual class with certifications. And so I'm now putting together that full arsenal of teachings directly online as well as coaching programs. So I shifted a good majority of the services that I once provided to enliven the field of energy for those who want deeper understandings, but also want to go deeper into their journey as far as aligning to their actual purpose and what they're here for on the planet. So I'm really kind of excited to kind of put um, a lot of knowledge and wisdom based things together to make it cohesive and comprehensive of what's being taught on the internet and because I'm an age of not the internet so I'm just really grateful to be able to share some deeper, more profound experiences of oneself um in a more demonstrative way. So currently rewriting a good portion of all the workbooks that I've ever provided and all my teaching. So I'm upping the level of what the visibility and what that would look like to someone who may be new to soul purpose, as well as those who believe or feel like they've already been on that path for a while. So I'm really excited about it. I'm still taking private one-on-one clients on these journeys, but for the most part, I'm now doing them as group immersions. For the past year now, I've gone digital and just watching strangers come together, um, you know, shifting each other, giving each other accountability in the style in which I present it. Um, One, I think it's comforting to people to see that they're not alone in the way they feel lost or stuck or not shifting the things that they want when they hear others saying I feel or I'm going through the exact same thing. It may not be the same circumstance, but the feeling that's triggered or the behavior that's happening, when people can see that there's a collective and that they're not alone, it actually gives people comfort and safety that they feel that way. So these journeys also bring soul tribe together, people that make connections within the coaching time period to forge friendships and alignments in the real world. And I think ultimately that's what we need to have happen is you know reinventing our actual tribes. How do we
Mm.
connect with people? I hear that all the time. people ask me, how do I find friends? How do I connect with people who are doing more of what I'm doing? A lot of times, when you're emerged together for longer periods of time, you really get a sense of who this person is as they're sharing their stories and walking through the coachings and the healings that I do. So it's really a beautiful thing to watch the souls unfold like a lotus. So I really love what I do, and I've been coaching for a really long time, one on one, and it was amazing. I would be saying in the back of my mind the whole time, she's going through that, or he's going through that, or she's going through that. And if I could just put these people together. So that's why I started doing events. And now I'm bringing them online. I'm hoping a more prolific and profound caliber of teachings. I've been teaching and coaching and healing for a really long time. So I'm hoping to give people a little bit deeper of a journey. As I believe people are craving that. Like, I want more. And so I'm hoping to feel that call that I feel in collective for more. So
That's
that's the magic that
beautiful.
I'm working.
Oh, so beautiful. Thank you. And thank you for doing this work for as long as you've been doing it. It is so important. So before we hit record, you said that you're a teacher, you're a coach, and an energy worker. I'd love to hear a little more about what you teach.
um, so in a basic environment with me, the coaching and teaching, I teach consciousness. Um, I think it's a word that, it floats around, mindsets. And the awareness that we're aware of ourselves is consciousness. We are conscious that we are here. So consciousness to me is a very big thing, because we have a lot of consciousnesses, um, as individuals and as collectives. And so when we start switching out our belief systems, when they adhere to your values and morals, of who you really are, what you stand for, you shift in a frequency automatically. And so, it's easy to believe. I think you mentioned just before we started recording, people have all these mindsets that are limiting. And we understand that. We've all heard it. So we kind of understand it. How do we reframe the neural synapses of the brain, from these deepened belief systems that go beyond this timeline? We
Ooh,
are all reincarnated individuals healing karma, which is why we see it in Chiron in our chart. So we need to actually change the full consciousness to something that resonates with our heart. So we need to bring heart and mind alignment in to activate soulful living as authentic self. And these consciousnesses aren't really discussed. We hear glimpses of them, like self-love. Well, self-love is the form of self-acceptance, but also embracing the grace of sovereignty. It's also surrender to the divine plan and will for your life. So surrender is a consciousness that you have to then live and be. It has nothing to do with divine feminine or masculine. It's a consciousness. Can you live surrender to your soul, as opposed to living in ego-based, fear-driven consciousnesses? You have to choose one or the other. And
right.
so there's 21 main forms of consciousness that will shift you into soul living. So I teach those. I teach universal law, a Aramaic style of the law, and where there's only seven laws. So I teach how that when we are switching these consciousnesses, we're also adhering to multiple laws at the same time. Because when we're not manifesting what we want, sure, there's limiting beliefs there. Yes, there's wounds and scars there, but also we don't understand the structure of universal law. And we all think that um, law of attraction is the only one. And if you're not harnessing these specific seven, then it's usually because we don't have enough consciousness available to us in the right formats to understand that we are already creating. I think we all kind of get that, right? We are
Mhm.
already creating our circumstances in our life, even if we don't like it per se or want it. It's happening. So we need to understand that we're already living the law as nature. We're human, and so we're already living it. But when we can better understand its components to a feeling, that's a vibration, to a thought that is also a vibration, how it's woven into the fabric that creates dense matter and shows up in reactions or even attracts people. It attracts everything. So our mind and heart have to be in alignment. And so universal law is very important. I also teach the Akashic Records and astrology because I think people think that soul work is kind of ambiguous. Is it real? I
Mhm.
can feel myself, but I can't really connect with my soul. I don't
Right.
really understand what that means. And the natal chart is just like having a birth chart, a birth picture of your child in utero. So we snap that shot and we call it natal. And so your energy shooting through this galaxy comes through as what we call the natal birth chart. And so you can see your soul's imprint and what you're here to do. And if you look at it with the right astrologer, you can see where your fortune is, where your purpose is. You can see clearly what you're here to do and how to do it, your gifts, abilities, talents, and skills that you attributed from your last lives, how to use them as assets to then connect to higher consciousnesses and more abundance in your life. So I put those all together and make it one beautiful soul journey. I call it Awakening Enlightenment. It comes in multiple phases. There's 3 phases. And so I teach the journey of how to live in the purest state available to you because not everybody's here on the same octave. Some of us are just, in the middle of understanding what evolution is. Some of us are ready to go, and those people have become practitioners. They're like, I got to teach this. I got to share this. I'm excited about it. And not
Yep, that's
everybody's going to
me.
be a practitioner. And I tell my clients, what I'm doing is what my soul contract is. Whether that's a doctor, a nurse, if you're farming, if you make jewelry, soap, even if you go to work and that's the job and the career for you, you could be living in your soul purpose already.
Mhm.
But there's more to it than that. There's growth and evolution that has to happen. Because unfortunately, if we don't clear the karma, we will be back with this karma that we create in this life plus the lessons that we didn't excel through in this life from our past life. So I help people clear all that with these 4 modalities. And I think that they're more scientific. Akashic Records is also your access to your soul's entirety as choice to be embodied in dense matter and wherever you were in the galaxy. So I try to guide people all the way back to where their star seed source is. So I do a deep teaching in the Akashic Records. So my clients are usually people who acknowledge that I I want more from life or I already have it all. I've already connected to abundance and relationships, or I'm still struggling there, but they all have the same markings of I believe I'm here on a higher soul path, and I want to learn more. I want to know more, and I want to really connect with my soul. So I think my soul tribe is those who know they're on a path of ascension and
Mhm.
that they're ready to leave the earth field and they want to leave it with as much clearer frequency as possible as to leave a new earth um, grid in place for the new souls coming in. So they're wanting to give birth to big ideas, big dreams that they're stepping out into being seen as a soul now. So My clients range from everyday average men and women to those who've already done some amazing things on this planet, and they now want to give back to consciousness and humanity. So that is what the soul is here to do. It wants to contribute its gift and light in the world. And those who seek me out want to know how to do that on a big scale, and be true to themselves and honor others. So they definitely have a soul calling. So I do have a very specific, energy. And I'm really grateful that those who have gone on have also become they've become a practitioner in their own way. Most of my clients are in the holistic field, and they weren't before. They were in real estate. They were real estate magnates. They were athletes, or they were doing something else and they were successful there. And then they were like, hey, I feel this calling
Yeah.
to help. How do I step into that power that is the sovereign divine part of who I am? So that's where I make the magic happen, is enlivening people's fields. And then they attract more, more aligned people, more aligned abundance. Because abundance is a slippery slope. We can attract it, but if we don't have the right consciousnesses, we'll lose it. We'll lose opportunities. We'll miss other alignments to grow that abundance. And then we attract lessons with that abundance.
Right.
We want to be able to use it to grow not only ourselves, but others with abundance. Because that's when you know you have it, is when you can give it away where you're not in a bind to give it or share it, whether that's
Right.
love, time, money, relationships, where you're not forsaking yourself in order to give it. That's true abundance. When you have it to give without depletion of yourself in any way. It's not just material binding, although currency rules the world. It's more than that. So if you can give your time to others, or yourself, your resources beyond money, and you're not depleted or forsaking yourself in order to do it, you have true abundance. So
Beautiful.
I
Yep.
teach the essence of nature holistically through all these mediums.
That's wonderful.
I hope that all made sense. That's a
It
lot.
totally did. Well, it did to me anyway.
Okay, okay.
I am curious. So, how on earth did you get into all this? What's your why? What happened? And what was the trigger that started all this?
Well, there was no trigger. My soul came here ready to work. So
Wow.
as a child, I was healing people. The first person I ever healed was 7. I was 7 years old. I could see, hear, and know things that weren't when you're a child, there's no way you could possibly know or even understand what world events are. But when you're predicting and seeing things on the magnitude of worldwide, I realized by the time I was in junior high school, and we're talking many years ago, I'm currently 56 years old, um, that I must belong to God. So immediately, my first thoughts, my parents were not religious in any way. That I felt like what I could see, what I knew, and what I could do had to have something to do with God. And so I gave my life to Christ when I was 18 years old. I went to seminary school. I preached the gospel of Jesus Christ for a very long number of years. God told me inside of the church, um, I have bigger and greater things for you to do. It's time to leave. You've learned everything you need to know, and it's time to go. And I did. I was confused, but I left. And I didn't know anything else except what I believed, that God was telling me. I was even questioning the Bible, because the things that I was hearing didn't even make sense, because I had no knowledge. So the
Mhm.
Akashic Records was open to me at a very young age. And then I kind of went lost for a long time, because I didn't know how to be divine without church. And so in came the knowledge of chakras. I got a download. There was no internet to Google anything. I just knew that I knew what I heard, because I'd been prophesying events, details for decades already. So I learned to trust. I'd walk up to people on the street or hear these things for their lives, and be accurate. So I had no need to question that I was hearing something greater than just a psychic ability. I had intimate knowledge uh, of details. So even my understanding of source, universe, multiple galaxies, talking to other celestial beings, hearing from the planets themselves. Um, I communicate with a few different starseed groups. Um, so when I left, there was a lot of downloads and things that I just couldn't incorporate. So for almost a decade, I had to sit in a lot of silence. I couldn't share this with my friends who were in numbers of Christianity. Um, I lived in the Bible Belt, a very religious part of America, and it was extraordinary to try to explain. I've been wearing crystals. I been wearing crystals.
Mhm.
I grew up with them, so they were already a part of something that I was already doing. Um, and so I'd always have to explain my crystals to people because they weren't common in the 80s. They weren't common in the 90s. They weren't
Yeah.
barely common until 2010. So these are things that I had when I was in high school. So um I knew that I was different, and it was hard to explain the immense growth that I was cycling through between the ages of 27 and 37. Um, and so I had to sit in quiet and afraid of persecution. But that persecution, because I did receive it even amongst those that I considered close friends at the time, made me aware that there's probably other people that feel and have these same gifts. And if I don't teach all the things, and now mind you, everything that I know, I've channeled.
Mhm.
Um, so I did go to I took a world religion class. I was gonna take it as a master's, but I decided that I would just ask because that information is all in the Akashic Records. So
Right.
all you have to do is have a willingness to trust that what you're hearing is accurate. Now, today, there's still some things that I hear that are so phenomenal, but now we have, search engines, right? So I can Google it and see if anything resembling what I just saw or heard is out there. And because there's some information that I have that isn't quite out there. And so I've woven that knowledge uh, in, and uh, my life is also um, a big part of my why. Uh, and so I've been through and had to heal my own karma. I've had to heal things that I created with others. I had to heal not just mindsets, but the wounds and the fears of even speaking my voice and being worthy of being called to lead other healers into the highest version of themselves.
Mm.
So for a long time, that battle was why would God choose me to be so gifted and then also have to hide it for such a long time? So I went through and did a lot of harmful self-sabotaging just because I didn't think that I was good enough. But I already had a lot of victim role. So having healed the voice and the trust that not only did I choose this contract, but I'm entrusted for humanity to stand as a lighthouse. And if I don't do that, um, then who will really stand on the most absurd version of a reality that who would choose who would choose this? Because I feel like we all have a set of gifts and
Mhm.
a mission that our soul is here to perform. And I had to heal that. I came from a really uh, trauma filled childhood. I further traumatized myself because I believed that that's what love looked like.
Right.
So you reenact cycles
Right.
until you learn. So um, mind engineering consciousness was a development of my own soul's journey. In that 10-year cycle of sitting was a healing about beliefs, because even our religious beliefs can block us from the abundance and our journey.
Oh
Just
yeah.
believing that certain things about it can attribute that. So I literally just cataloged every belief possible. Come to find out, most people have the same exact beliefs that I had.
Hmm.
And so I cataloged them, and then I worked through them um, with a bunch of different methods. And those methods allowed me to scale the chakras and vibrations and octaves pretty quickly when I just accepted that this is who I am and this is exactly what I came here to do. And so I've been perfecting the tools in which I disseminate with others, but my why is I did it alone. I did it when no one in the world was talking about spirituality, Kundalini, Tantra,
Hmm.
soul. I was by myself, and now even though we're talking about it, we still don't know how to live it. And
Right.
I walk the walk. So I walk the walk and I talk the talk, and that's what makes me passionate about it. Is because we can scroll, we can just read, and we can watch those reels, but how do we incorporate it and live it and make it a reality is what makes my journey very unique. So from 27 to 37, it still took me another 8 years after that to really develop the coaching that I believe I'm here to leave as the legacy um, for the next 3 generations. I believe that I'm teaching something that brings all these concepts together as they should. They're not compartmentalized. And granted, we're drawn to a modality, right? It feels right. But if you're only holding one piece of the puzzle, you don't get to finish the 1,000-piece puzzle. They all
Right.
go together. So if you're holding on to one piece, you're missing a part of where you need to grow and ascend out of your karmic path.
Yeah.
Because there's karma and there's dharma, and we got to get to the dharma part if we're going to change the world. So the other part that I'm really passionate about is how we take these forms of consciousness, change collective consciousness, so that we can all participate in making the world that we really desire inside. These gifts aren't just about a self-fulfilling, abundant factor. We have to change the world. We're living in a societal world worldwide. COVID showed it to us, that is harming us.
Hmm.
And it's in that domain that we allow the repression of self to be self-fulfilling is harming. And now we're sucking the resources of the very planet that we want to be abundant on dry. So my other two whys are, we need enough vibration to start dismantling the way we decided to live for centuries upon centuries upon centuries. It doesn't work.
Yep.
These systems and archaic mandates that we've placed ourselves under, we need liberation. And we can't liberate until we're literally free in the mind. So we need higher forms of consciousness to liberate the world from the ways that we have been governed on it. And also, we have to build a new earth grid to fit that new world. The consciousness grid that's there brings us to today, but to go beyond that, we have to assemble that, and it's energetic. And
Mhm.
so we also, when we do that, as we apply new energy to a new grid, we start healing the earth, or the earth will not be here. So all that we're doing, all that we're trying to fulfill through ego will be lost regardless if the planet doesn't maintain itself in this galaxy. So those are my divine missions, and I'm serious about it. I aim my energy at divine feminine. because we've lived for over thousands of years, tens of thousands, in masculine, toxic masculine forms of energy. And we need divine feminine to actually manifest. So a lot of people don't understand the actual, it's not a gender, it's about an energetic form of manifesting.
Mhm.
Uh, and it's the most powerful part of manifesting. Divine masculine sends the energy upward, but it's that point that hits the earth through us where we connect all the energy that funnels down into reality. So we need divine feminine to actualize the changes that we're here to make. So what I teach goes to the most highest scale of what I believe I'm here to evolve. I don't think I'm going to see that in my lifetime. So that's why I'm looking at, my daughter, her kids, and my great great grandkids. What legacy do I leave them when the world moves to multiple AI levels of consciousness on this planet? Can we survive as humans? And that's the quandary that I believe I'm here to address with the world, and not just how we can be self-serving with all this abundance and soul acquisitions and feeling really great in the world. Those are beautiful things. But if we don't take that beauty and use it to level humanity up, then we've wasted our time in a self-fulfilling gluttony. And we have to disperse that energy and raise up the next vibration. We are the generation that does that. And if we don't do it right, and if we don't come together as a healing collective instead of individual practitioners competing on social media, can't stand that. We need to actually collect. We
Yes.
are the new world leaders. We are the leaders of what is a healthy human. And if we don't stand together and embody a collective, no one will listen to us anyway, because we're all singing these different, it's okay to have different voices, but
Mhm.
do they see alignment? Because we have a government that's aligned.
Mhm.
We're not aligned. So I'm looking at the highest version of what that is possible. So that's why I do what I do, and I'm hoping to make the changes in the humans that are ready to make that level of change. How we connect and collect as as a body of beings, instead of saying the world needs to change, and we don't necessarily have to fight for our rights. We assert our right when we become sovereign, and if we join hands together, all we need to do is meditate and pray about the changes that we want to dismantle to make the world a better place. But we need vibration for that to happen.
Yes.
And
Most
so our
definitely.
war is a spiritual warfare more than it is a physical fight for change. Those people who are protesters, God bless you. And those organizers, wonderful work. But we also need the back end where the frequency can then emit out. We are now accepting change. We don't have to fight for it. We are going to make the change because we are that change. So now let's bring it all the way home. And now let's worldwide have a worldwide meditation day about what needs to change. Famine, I mean, child smuggling. There's a bunch of things happening on this planet, not just America, that
Mhm.
need to stop. And if we live like this with abundance, 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 mine, we're never going to get there.
Right.
So
Oh,
those are my
Demetria,
whys and what
yes.
I'm passionate about, and I will soapbox if you let me, but that's the long and short of it.
I'm so in love with you right now. I want to just let's just yes. I want this tribe so much. Yes. And it is so totally needed at the moment. We are totally at this like tipping point for humanity.
Yep,
And I'm seeing a lot of change, but I'm also seeing a lot of resistance.
yep,
And it's almost like the people that are the change makers, like us, have to be louder than the ones that are putting forth the resistance. And I'm nervous about being loud, but I'm doing it anyway
yep.
with this podcast and with everything else I'm doing. So thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
I am curious now about this transition that you're making. What happened? I mean, was it COVID that kind of initiated this whole transition from in person to online?
Well, actually, before there was even any of this, I was teaching online back in 2011. Um, I was using some of the same tools that are out there, and I had clients all over the world, so I was already using video as a
Okay.
form of I
It's
was,
less of a transition and more of a just embracing the online
right, I was
environment.
actually really successful in person during COVID because people wanted connection.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
I still had people coming to me in person in groups. They wanted that human connection, and, I tried to get online with a lot of the new, uh, platforms and apps. Um, I just couldn't move quick enough because I just had so much activity. Throughout COVID, I probably taught over 100, uh, different types of events, from sound to Reiki to, certification courses and, workshops live and in person. So I was so busy that I couldn't really grasp what it meant, but also because of what I had mentioned earlier about having to hide myself, I
Mhm.
also had a very deep disconnection to social media. So even though I have had most of my social media since the mid 2000s, think I got on Facebook in 2007, 2008.
Mhm. Yeah, me too.
Twitter, I have them all, LinkedIn included, but um I had a belief about being public because of the persecution and the fear that
Yep,
people wouldn't accept me for who I was.
yep.
So, um, using social media wasn't also a big deal for me. I already had success, um, with clients in person, and those who connected with what forms of social media I put out there, that it resonated, and then they just decided to be clients. So I was always with clients. What really shifted for me to now get to the answer to the question, because I didn't think I really needed to get online, but I also had these subconscious beliefs. So what changed was I had a lot of people who, once I shared my whole mission, they were like, you need to talk about this online, and more people need to hear it. And I was like, yeah, but I still had to heal that last little bit of it's safe to be seen in the world. I was already doing the work at large scales and making a good living at it. I didn't know that if my message was spoken, that it would ignite, uh, what I can see and envision. It does. And
Mm.
then I was also afraid of that because I've already given all my life for this. So I I said, "You know what? This is foolish." They're showing me my life right now, what I said. I was like, "This is foolish. This is what I came to do, and if I'm gonna touch the world, then I might have to get on world type platforms
Yep.
in order for people to know what's really at stake and what we're really all here doing right now." Because I think it's getting lost in the media. And so by then, Instagram, my account was basically dead because I don't post on it. Facebook, same way. I don't post on it. Um, I have a TikTok that hadn't even been fully vested with a profile. LinkedIn is so not used. I mean, everything is just underused. So I was like, okay, I need to better understand what this message is because it's a big message, and I use a lot of modalities in order to teach it. These parts of the puzzle are like the frame of the puzzle, and if you don't have these particular 4 parts of your framed puzzle, these are my horrible cards. I was gonna do something really quick. If you don't have those frames in place, you can't fill in the blanks of the puzzle. You need the framing of the border, and these 4 things that I teach are the borders. And, I just thought I'm going to have to get over myself because that's really a fear that I already conquered. And the fact that I'm still sitting with a form of subconscious consciousness about it, it doesn't even agree with me. And I believe when you rise that far, you don't even need to reframe it anymore. You can just determine, do I want that belief or do I not? Is it going to stop me from getting the result of sharing the message? So I really had to contend with that. Then I had to figure out how to basically brand it because social media has taken on a whole new format than what it was. It was just social when I
Right.
started on it. And now it's big industry and it runs on a whole different vibe. And so I really had to think about how I was going to procure my message. So it's taken me a little while to really harness what it is, but that the catalyst of needing to get the message out was a pressure point that the universe was putting on my life because it's a part of my contract. So it was clear that it can't be in person anymore. As my clients' lives were changing, they couldn't really meet in person, and then the awareness that most of these people are dealing with the exact same thing. I need to put them all face to face.
Mm.
And so it just made sense. And then trying to make it make sense to people who don't know me, who aren't going to listen for 20 and 30 minutes. How do you say that in 30 seconds, 90 seconds, 10 seconds? I have a lot to say. So
Yeah.
those type of formats aren't good for what it is I do. You kind of need to sit with me to kind of hear it for 15 minutes. And we live in a microwave society now. People don't have the attention spans of but 7 seconds at best.
Yeah.
So I have to get a lot of information out in a short period of time. So I've had to decompartmentalize what I teach and my approach um, as my energy. So how do you make that all work on the internet? And that has been the that has been the work of this year alone. Just how do you present so people can understand you and connect with you? Because it's important, the connection. And uh, I think that change. I got somebody at my door. Hold on, that's weird,
Okay. I'll pause
unexpected.
it.
One moment. Wait. Just to recap, the life changes that I could see as my cycle shifting, um, were the indicators that this has to happen, and these are the parts that you need to fix in order to move forward. So learning all the applications, trying to figure out what works best, not really knowing anything about the new internet and really trying to figure out how to brand myself has been the quandary. And but that is the move because that is my ultimate mission is to connect, build bridges with those healers who know that that is their assignment as well. That collective has to happen.
Yeah.
There has to be a joining of forces. No one healer, and also because most healers aren't abundant. Um, they're so they also have this. I've got to get. These are my clients. I have to. When we can cross collaborate, we'll see a new fulfillment of abundance coming in because we all have different gifts that aid uh, the online community. So, and I've seen a lot of groups come together that uh, I'm local to Arizona, so there's a lot of spiritual groups, a lot of collectives here that that need healing. I'm just going to
Okay.
be direct. I don't know what else to say.
Yep.
We've got a lot of personalities that still haven't healed enough to really be surrendered to a process where everyone is collaborative without needing to be a headlining space. We still have a lot of healing to do. We
Yeah.
just do. So
Agreed.
I think that my time is now. And I can feel it in my cells and in my muscles and my organs. They're like, you got to keep going.
Yep.
Even if it's not working at full throttle, the right people will come in and say, I can help you with that.
Yep.
So ultimately, I'm building a digital library. Um, my desire is that it'll have enough connection and attraction to where those who don't know how to build a course um, can easily follow templates that will be tried. I live by experience. I think for me, if I can manifest it, then I can show someone else how to manifest it. So if I can create something that gives me the satisfaction of teaching at a caliber that connects, then I'd like to offer those tools to those who also have a voice who aren't mainstream. And this was the other part. I've applied at a lot of major companies that say that they're spiritual or they're teaching these things, but they're all looking at how many followers do you have? So give me all your
Mhm.
accounts and let us look at your social media to determine whether or not I fit on their platform.
Wow.
And I thought to myself, that's interesting because I have been doing this my whole life. I didn't just wake up during COVID and I didn't go to YouTube Academy.
Right.
I'm 56 years old and I've been pursuing God and the truth and the light my entire life. I might have a little bit of experience that precludes what you see online. I've
Yes.
done everything in person and kind of hidden for a couple of almost 2 decades. I kind of hid in the shadows and I only worked by referral. So um, I thought everyone has a voice. And I get it. That's your company model. I get it. You want to attract as many people to multiple practitioners as possible. And I get that. But what about the person who just woke up yesterday and now they're a powerhouse and they're 26? And yeah, they've got a phenomenal following on Instagram, but they need the collaboration of older wisdom to support their ongoing growth.
Yep.
And where is the soul community? So that to me is the biggest part of how to build that bridge is offer a platform where people are bringing all of their own exclusive content. And I think people are successful in their own right. But when you start marrying modalities, you bring new clients in,
Mm.
meaning the world. And I don't think that it should just be limited to a select few that can bring
I can
in
become
a big
influencers.
hit. You know what I mean? I don't think
Yeah.
I don't think that that's limited to that. And I think that we're stuck in that um, place. Society says, well, they've got 100,000 follows. They've got 900 likes. They've got, 3,000 likes. You know what I mean? And so they look at that and they go, yeah, I'm going to follow them. Um, and that might not be what grows their soul. It might
Yep.
just be entertaining to their ego. And they
Yep.
are also following. And so there's a conundrum there that's happening, which is why the right soul tribe has to work in a united fashion. It has to.
Yep.
Um, and so that I'm dedicated to building that part of it, because we need to see that we can come together. And if we can't do it, they won't come together either.
Right.
So
Yep. I'm doing similar work. Which I mean, sure, I'm sure you know since you've been following me. I have this beautiful integrative wellness collective that I see it turning into this monstrous business, right? So I have this vision of this huge organization that covers the planet and everyone everywhere knows what this company does and they support it and they believe that we can help them somehow. So um it's essentially it's a collective of healers, at least to start with. And then once we get to a point of, I feel like 100 to 200 healers, where we're all in unison working together, then we can start building it to invite the individual communities in and start teaching them and coaching and all the beautiful things that we do collectively as healers. It's it's been a work in progress since, wow, 2012 is when I wrote the business plan. Because I had this vision for this beautiful resort that would be a place for healers to live and work and do their good work, and a place for people to come and retreat away from their real life and go be healed. So like that was my initial plan, was like this wellness center retreat space. And all the pushback I got from other healers were like, why would I join your company? It's a brand new company. Like, you don't have success yet. Why would I be a part of it? And I'm like, because we're going to create success together. That's why. And it needs to be together. And I knew that. So I started talking to other practitioners in 2012 and 2013 and interviewing the healers out there and asking these questions like, could you be a part of this collective? What would it look like for you? And just started growing this idea, and it has turned into a membership organization, because of course I have to work in the three-dimensional reality of how this structure works, right? And it's just becoming this beautiful thing that people can be a part of, and they get to define how they participate. And so it's beautiful. It's just amazing. I'm so grateful for this possibility of being on this planet right now and being a part of this conversation with you, Demetria. This is so good. Okay, now, is there anything else that you'd like to cover? Any other thoughts or ideas you want to share before we sign out?
Um, no, I think we pretty much covered it all.
Excellent. Okay. Do you have any final thoughts, inspiration, anything you'd like to share for our audience?
Um, yeah, I will share this. We have a free flowing access to information. Uh, but I do want everyone to really take this to heart. Not all information is good soul building information. You know, um, when we're scrolling and reading posts, watching reels, we have to go beyond the immediate feeling of being connected to it. Um, Meaning, we watch something and we aspire. It makes us dream and wish that could be us. So we have to be very, very careful that when we're looking at, these people's lives going, that's so cool. I wish I could do that. Or, I'm really spiritual and I'm following these people. We have to be careful of the information age becoming an illusion age.
Yeah.
If we are not engaging in daily habit changing of our feelings, if we can't locate why we feel, if we can't put a phrase and a label and a tag on it and call it sadness and determine where that sadness comes from, if we're angry and we don't understand where the anger and frustrations come from, if we are lonely and can't call it lonely and understand that if we can't speak, if we're living in roles that don't serve us anymore, and we're looking uh, at the world as that's them, and we're disconnected and disassociated with self, you need a mentor, you need a coach, you need a practitioner, you need to engage with it. It can't be something that you watch, it becomes illusionary. and it's a false derivative. So if I could leave you anything, participate this year. Get active with the changes that are going to be healing, releasing, and clearing so you can really walk in this lifetime with what you came here to do. And you can't do that by engaging with it from a distance. You have to be it has to be corporate. You have to incorporate it into your life for the changes that you want. If you are watching and they're saying just love yourself, okay, I can watch 100 reels about self-love. Why isn't this person marrying me? There's internal things, and I don't like the word work. I don't like the word process because it makes it feel like something it's not.
Right.
Application, engagement, honest engagement, and dedicating and devoting yourself to yourself has to happen. Disciplining yourself at some point to manifest the changes has to happen. It has to. Let this be your year of getting off the scroll and fulfilling those old roles into a new place. The being of you place, not a new you. You're perfect. You do need to peel the onion back. You need to remove the layers that are keeping you from living this rich, fulfilling life. So, if I could leave you with anything, um, take someone up on their offer. If you
Mm.
see an offer about change or healing, or you're curious, this is the year to get the enlightenment so that you can activate it in the field of abundance for yourself, for your family, for your life, for your future. You can do that. You can stop the scroll. So that would be my biggest encouragement.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Okay, so how can people reach you, Demetria?
So you can reach me at I am powered by love.com. Most of my social media is that's the handle is I am powered by love. Facebook, I have a personal profile under my,
Mhm.
my name, and then I have an I am powered by love um page, a business page as well. But so Instagram's I am powered by love, Pinterest, I am powered by love, Twitter, everything is pretty much I am.
Awesome.
So you can find me pretty much anywhere, but the website is I am powered by love.com or .live. If you want to just
Okay.
look right at whatever streaming things that I have and offers that I have, readings. I am also doing free mini coach sessions so we can take a look at where your journey is right now. They are complimentary. You can get that from the website .com, I am powered by love.com or .live. .live will take you right to the booking link for the free soul coaching. Um, it is an hour session, so just make sure that if you're interested in that free hour, you know block off the time that you need before and after. And I'm there, and it's a reading, so you get an Akashic record reading on your soul's journey and some guidance steps to put those things into action right away.
Excellent. Oh, I love it. I just might be signing up for that. And thank you so very much. This has been so much fun. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And oh, have a wonderful day.
You
Thanks.
too. Thank you for having me. I'm so very grateful for the alignment. This is a huge step into how I was already planning to really engage with this particular message. So thank you for having me, and I can't wait to connect with you even deeper and more in 2024.
Excellent.